Hey guys, so since my last video, Bitcoin has finally turned the monthly swing chart up by pushing above the high of the previous month at $95,300. Now, unfortunately, the monthly BX trender is still showing dark red lower lows, and that's pretty much it on the monthly chart. So we'll probably need a even stronger push up for this month to turn light red or higher low. And we may not get that. We may have to wait until February for that, but that's pretty much it on the monthly. Looking at the weekly time frame, we can see something very, very interesting. Bitcoin has come out of its second higher low after the capitulation from the all-time high, and we are rallying into the market bias. And unless something crazy happens in the next few days, we look like we're going to close this week light green for the first time in 3, 4, 5 months? Yeah, in about 5 months. Now, something I found very interesting is if we scroll back to last cycle, where we had the capitulation after the all-time high and crashed below the market bias, once we closed light green, that next week ended up being a bullish engulfing candle, and we saw another massive push up. Now, that was coming out of our third higher low on the weekly time frame, but because we're only coming out of our second higher low this time, potentially we are here in the 28th of February week, where we could get smacked back down this week and close relatively flat. And we'd stay flat next week, and we'd start moving for 2 or 3 weeks after that. Now, I don't really have much other analysis to confirm or deny that theory, but other than watching the shorter term timeframes and seeing how this week closes, because if we are to close back at $91,500, it would obviously be pretty painful for a lot of people, but that could also set us up for, 3 great weeks of upside and a potential push to, $106,000, $107,000, because I think we got to the top of the market bias last time. Yeah, so we rejected off the underside of the 50-week TMA, and this case would be around $106,000. Now, having a look at the daily time frame, we've pumped right up to this blue line that I covered in last week's video, and where I talked about it being potential preliminary support on a Wyckoff reaccumulation range. And obviously, we've gotten that lovely fourth time breakout of $90,500. Lovely, fifth time breakout of $93,000. And you can just see this lovely acceleration we've gotten. We haven't quite hit this 98.8 level, but we've hit this 98,000-ish region, which I guess coincides with the breakdown zone from around the 13th of November. Now, we are still green on the daily BX trender. The stochastic RSI is not yet overbought. It's not sitting at 100, 100 on the moving averages. And we're not that far above the 50-day TMA, like we are above it, but we haven't pushed really far above it into an overbought territory. So it is possible that we see some continuation next week, pushing through these resistance lines, potentially coming up to our weekly resistance of $106,000, $107,000. And on the 4-hour time frame, pretty much the same thing. We've got this yellow line, which is the 2021 all-time highs joined together, which we've respected pretty well this cycle, that I've talked about in some of my earlier videos this late last year. And pretty much the same story on the 4-hour chart as the daily chart. We're extended, but not overextended. Like, we haven't had the stochastic RSI, sit at 100 for, a long period of time like we had here at the start of December. So I really don't think we're going to roll over too hard. We potentially either need to reaccumulate here for another leg up, or we're going to start to distribute. And I think whatever happens will become more apparent on the 1 hour time frame. But for now, if I do some really, really quick Wyckoff analysis, if we just look at the price action for the last 2 days here, you can clearly see we are consolidating above this potential buying climax where we saw this $2,000 candle in a minute. We potentially had a 7-bar downswing into the candle body top here, which, old highs become new lows. So, and obviously we had our 7-bar reversal rules. So based off of that, again, we got some really strong buying volume and the selling volume is less than the buying volume. It leads me to believe that on the 1 hour chart for now, it does look like reaccumulation. So I am of the opinion that next week is probably going to push up instead of down. Now obviously the 15-minute time frame isn't going to show us much, but you can have a look at the USDT dominance on the weekly time frame. We closed dark red last week, and we're on track to close this week dark red, unless something ridiculous happens. Just look at that collapse from -4 to like -20%. So unless we get, a crazy nuke on Bitcoin, like my theory that could happen, but hopefully doesn't happen, this weekly close should be good. Now, if we have a look back at 2022, where we had our relief rally around here, you can see we only managed to get 3 weekly closes in dark red, which, also aligns with my Bitcoin analysis. So if this week also closes dark red, we'll get a strong push next week, but that would probably be the top of the relief rally and the bottom of the USDT dominance decline before we see a snap reversal. So it's really nice that our analysis on 2 different charts is lining up to the same conclusion. And I won't really talk much about altcoins in this video. I might make a follow-up video in the next few days, but you can clearly see we're holding above the 50-day TMAs on most of the altcoins, and unless we start to see weakness under the 50-day TMA, I am still of a bullish thesis. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed seeing my chart in dark mode for once, because it is approaching bedtime here where I am. But I'll catch you guys next time.